All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Friday, May 13th, 2022. Going to go over some of the headlines, mostly from last night. In the NFL, it was reported on Thursday, May 12th, 2022, that the Denver Broncos young receiver Jerry Jeudy was arrested after facing criminal charges. And notice, this came on a date with 59 numerology. And of course, on May 9th, I was talking about this same pattern, how many times we've covered it, how often it's a young black man in the NFL that gets shamed on a 59 date numerology, and how pretty much every time a 59 date numerology rolls around, there's a story just like this. And, we only had to wait 3 more days for the next 59 date numerology to come, and it ends up being Jerry Jeudy. And again, if you're new here, Gematria, it is the language that is used every single day by the mainstream media to literally script the news. And it's obvious that part of the deal in the NFL, no doubt these guys are signing non-disclosure agreements, but part of the deal is, you might get used in propaganda that comes through the same screen your rigged football games come through. And again, if you're new here, it's a very simple code. Negro, slave, Rasta, blues, they all add up to 59 by just taking the alphabetic order, making A1, B2, C3, D4, E5, F6, all the way to Z. The 26th letter equals 26. And the other half of the code is just running the alphabetic order in reverse. His name is Jerry. Jerry, when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, is 59. And you'll notice if you're looking at the screen, words that equal 59 forwards, if they have the same amount of letters, will equal 76 in reverse. And you can see up there, all the 59s and 76s. Remember, both of these numbers get used ritualistically again and again in shaming black men. And sometimes it's not shaming. Like, for example, the first black president, Barack Obama, his name equals 76, kind of like how Acts 7:6 is about slavery, and it's the 44th book of the Bible. Again, he was number 44. The Million Man March was on the day, leaving 76 days left in the year. Obama's Secret Service name, Renegade. As you can see, Tiger and Woods equal 59 and 76. The black golfer who broke the racial barrier for the sport, but then was ritualistically shamed by the numbers right before he was about to pass every golf record there was, something that somehow most people overlooked. But the other thing that's familiar about this is his birthday is April 24th, and the news breaking May 12th was 18 days after his birthday. If you've read my first book, Letters and Numbers, which you can buy from my website, GematriaEffectNews, or I've made it free to download in case you don't have any money, but the 18th chapter of Letters and Numbers, it's about how black men are shamed and killed by the code of 59 and also 42. And I made it the 18th chapter on purpose because so often 18 will be inserted into these rituals because the word race is 18. So 18 days after his birthday, he becomes the story on the 59 date numerology. Again, these same patterns happen all the time. I've been documenting it for 9 years straight. Can't emphasize it enough. Go back and watch the videos I did on May 9th, 5/9, and what was going on that day in the news. Same type of stuff. Again and again. North Korea. We caught this at the end of yesterday's live stream. We did it in real time. It was the breaking news that North Korea confirmed their first case of COVID. And again, just so easy. From Kim Jong-un, the supposed leader of the country, it's a puppet state. It's controlled by the same Jesuits that control the rest of the nation. But from his birthday to the news breaking May 12th was his 125th day of his age, and North Korea is 125. Again, every day, all news, worldwide, scripted by the same code. And let it be a reminder that English is the language of the world. It's credited to a Catholic monk, just like the calendar that it's synced up with is credited to a Catholic pope, the Gregorian calendar. Every day. And don't forget the word pope is 52, like 52 weeks in the year. We're going to talk about that a lot more and the death of Kailia Posey in just a moment. But we have another celebrity death by the numbers. Fred Ward from Tremors and The Right Stuff, dead at 79. They saved the news for Friday the 13th. Think about Freddy Krueger, who's related to the Jason and Friday the 13th series. I don't think it's an accident we're reading about a Fred Ward dead on Friday the 13th. They saved the news for today. They say he died last Sunday, the big Jesuit day, and don't forget Society of Jesus equals 79. But Fred Ward, 79 like murder. And again, you just learn this little simple code of ABC 1, 2, 3. And you'll be like Roddy Piper and They Live, seeing the world with a new lens. Now, yesterday they also put out the cause of death for Kailia Posey. And I did call the medical examiner's office this morning and talk to the secretary and left a message. She said the medical examiner was in a meeting and would possibly call me back. It's funny how people are always in meetings. I think that's the response I've gotten every time I've ever tried to call anybody. They're in a meeting. Just the whole world's in meetings. In Oklahoma City, the security wouldn't let me on the premises of the Memorial Grounds bombing. They were warned that I was coming to town because we announced it on YouTube, and the security presence was ready for me. And they said it was their boss that told them to keep me off the grounds, but then we asked the boss to explain why, but the boss was in a meeting for 5 days straight. Couldn't get through to him. Anyway, of course, Oklahoma City bombing with the same code. You can see right through it in 5 seconds. But anyway, look at this. Well, I did a lot deeper dive on this, on her death, and look at how insanely, undeniably ritualistic this is. They're saying a young girl went to the park and hung herself. And it's vague. I want to know what she hung herself from. So I'm hoping I do get a call back from the medical examiner. But just look at this. Again, it's the Catholic Church and the Jesuits who are behind the murder by numbers code, behind everything that we see in the media every day, the true entity that controls the nation, its government, its media, its police, its sports leagues. Anyhow, the wording of the cause of death, I did a Google search for this wording to see if this has ever been used in a cause of death before. I cannot find this wording anywhere the way they put this together. Asphyxia due to ligature hanging, that means you were hung from something, and the manner is suicide. So that's the way it was worded. And I was like, well, maybe this is routine wording when somebody's found hanging. I can't find any other use of the phrasing of this wording anywhere else. Keep in mind this medical examiner. I'll tell you about this medical examiner. They recently just became the medical examiner of this town. They've been in Florida and California before. But I'll show you what's amazing about the day they became the medical examiner in light of the death. But remember this young woman who was from the show Toddlers and Tiaras on the Learning Channel. She reportedly committed suicide on May 2nd, 2022 in Blaine, Washington. We talked about this. But here's what jumps out. The wording of the cause of death, asphyxia due to ligature hanging and the manner is suicide, equals 239 in the most pure cipher. And again, that's the 52nd prime number. If you weren't here, this is how we called the Super Bowl dead on for the year of Super Bowl 52 on the date 23/9. We said why it'd be the Eagles versus the Patriots, what it had to do with the flag, why the flag was sewn at 239 Arch Street. And just the other day, and just understand, the numbers 239 and 52 come together a lot. The other day, it was in the Philippines. The president won the election on the 239th day of his age, the 52nd prime, like president equals 52. This number relates to authority, 52. And this woman was found dead. This young woman was found dead on May 2nd, 5/2. And if you run the alphabetic order in reverse, the cause of death equals, the way it's worded, equals 274. So 239, 274. We're going to talk about how these numbers come together and how they relate to the date May 2nd. But remember, the Jesuit motto, Isus Hominum Salvator, equals 274, the most simple cipher, just like how the Jesuit logos, the letters IHS for Isus Hominum Salvator, in the sun, where the sun's birthday has been celebrated by the Roman Catholic Church since 274 AD. And Isus Hominum Salvator also equals 122. And this young woman was found dead on the 122nd Meridian West on the 122nd day of the year. Now, they waited to put out her cause of death until 10 days later, the 132nd day of the year. Catholic Church is 132, Roman Catholics 132. Or I should say, at least the medical examiner waited 10 days to put out their official report with this wording. But notice, the day that she died was 136 days after Pope Francis's birthday. And here, let me, I forgot to put in his screenshot. Pope Francis' birthday, his birthday is December 17th, Saturnalia. December 17th, 1936. He turned 85. So, we're going to use the 4 base ciphers and write out Isus Hominum Salvator one more time. Isus Hominum Salvator equals 274, like we just talked about. It equals 85 with the rules of numerology. That's how old Pope Francis is right now. 85. It equals 266 when you run it in reverse. He's the 266th Pope, the first Jesuit. And it equals 122. Again, this young woman found dead on the 122nd day of the year on the 122nd Meridian West. And Pope Francis is also 122, whereas Pope alone is 52 or 25. The date she was found dead can be written 5-2 or 2/5. By the way, her name Kailia also has that gematria 25. The word death also has that gematria 25 and 97, which is the 25th prime. But she died 136 days after the Pope's birthday, which is the 16th triangular number. That's her age of death, 16. The Jesuits were created in the 16th century. Pretty much this entire code's been used from the 16th century on. The same year, the same century, English was standardized, the Gregorian calendar was rolled out. So 16 is special to the Jesuits. And if you're a Jesuit, they abbreviate your name SJ, which does have the 16 and 25 as well. I suppose it has the 2 as well. She was found on the 2nd day of the 5th month. But anyhow, 136 days after the Pope's birthday, right? And then on 5-2 on the 122nd day of the year. So the Catholic Church, I decided to look up what Catholic Church was in Linden. She's from the town of Linden, Washington. She's found dead in the park just outside of Linden. I called the Catholic Church and left a message just to see if I can get a call back, just wondering if she was a member of the church. But notice, St. Joseph is the name of the church in town. St. Joseph equals 136. The affiliated mission with the same church is St. Peter's. And notice how they spell out St. Joseph at the church, and at the mission, they abbreviate St. Peter's. So I'm not doing the manipulation here. St. Joseph is 136, and St. Peter's is 122. Okay? She's found dead on the 122nd day of the year, 136 days after Mr. 122's birthday. Again, the 16th triangular number, dead at age 16. And again, here's 136, which is the 16th triangular. If you don't know what that means, it just means if you add 1 through 16 together, it equals 136. For all you guys who like March Madness, Rig College basketball, again, where the first March Madness was the Catholic school, Villanova beating the Jesuit school, Georgetown. The first time a 16 seed ever ended up beating a 1 seed was University of Maryland, Baltimore County, beating Virginia in the 136th all-time meeting between a 16 seed and a 1 seed. It was clearly a rigged game. There's no way a team full of NBA players is going to lose to a team full of scrubs unless it's completely rigged, like, again, the news and sports is, which you can prove day after day with this knowledge. But again, that was the 136th meeting between a 16 and a 1, the only time it ever happened, and it was also on the date March 16th. But again, the official cause of death in the most pure cipher, 239 the 52nd prime. With the bizarre wording that I can't find in any other medical examiner's report ever, even though a lot of people have been hung in the history of death. And again, I just want you guys to imagine like a 16-year-old girl going out to the park, tying up a noose, and then hanging herself. I mean, possible, yeah, but does it sound right? No, it doesn't sound right. And for the record, again, she's from the show Toddlers and Tiaras. I just want you to see how suicide, toddlers, and Francis overlap in Gematria. And I should have mentioned that the park's in Blaine County. Blaine has the Gematria of 25, like Kailia. Let me write out death, because see the 25 and 38? Death is 25 and 38. Again, Kailia has the 25. Actually, Blaine is 43 and 25 like Kailia. But again, suicide's been a big theme this year. Remember, they're rolling out the new suicide prevention line by the numbers on the day, leaving 168 days left in the year, and the official name of the line equals 168. Again, just a reminder that everything done in this nation is by this code. You can prove it every single day. And a lot of things that are blamed as suicides and natural deaths, they look anything but. Remember, there's a song out there called Gematria, the killing name, and there's another song out there called Murder by Numbers, which both allude to Gematria. And with regards to suicide toddlers in France having the Gematria 34, so does Whatcom, the county that she died on, the county also where the exam was performed. And what's wild is, did I put it here in this report? Maybe it's down below. Okay. The woman who just became the medical examiner, she replaced Dr. Gary Goldfogel, who retired after serving the position for 34 years. And I've been making this point for a long time, that we really need to do a thorough investigation. Like, we need to find, we need to find a way to, what's hard for a person like me is I don't have the credentials, right, to get in there and do an investigation like the authorities. But we need to figure out a way to investigate medical examiners, because they're the ones always writing the cover-up, seemingly, for these bizarre causes of death that look totally ritualistic again and again. And here you have a woman that traveled all over the nation being medical examiner, from Florida to California, now up to this northern small town, just in time for this. Be interesting to look into what other deaths she might have covered up for. And that is an assumption that she's covering up for this, but again, this looks pretty incriminating. And again, just so many deaths connected to the world of celebrity and TV entertainment, young and old, that just, they add up too much. But notice, what are the odds that the medical examiner retires after 34 years in Whatcom County, And not to mention his name, Goldfogel, equals 34 and 83 in the same ciphers as Whatcom, which happen to be the murder numbers, like how Murder by Numbers came out in 83, like how the movie Murder by Numbers was released on the big Jesuit date, Ignatius Loyola Day, April 19th, and they code 83 in the cover, and the star of that film, Sandra Bullock, her name's 83. And again, watch Murder by Numbers, and then when they show you the town where the murder happens, you'll see that it equals murder in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. And in case somehow you're new here, Murder by Numbers, the movie poster, if you look it up, you'll see Sandra Bullock up at the top, and you'll see there's an orange 7 and an orange 9 around the words, and you'll see in the words they change it to 3883. Now, murder has Gematria 38 and 83. The song Murder by Numbers, which is different from the movie, came out in 83. Sandra Bullock, 83. Again, April 19th, Ignatius Loyola Day, the founder of the Jesuits. And for the record, this film came out 38 weeks after Sandra Bullock's birthday, while she was in her 38th year of life. Killing Death, R.I.P., Gematria, English, Kabbalah, they're all 38. This whole study comes from Kabbalah. Gematria comes from Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism. Kabbalah's Book of Formation says God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. We talked about the actor dead at 79 whose name equals 79 like murder. The ABC Murders, the Agatha Christie novel, has Gematria 56 and 79 like Society of Jesus. So, again, Mr. Goldfogel was the medical examiner for 34 years in Whatcom County, and now we got the suicide, supposedly, of the Toddlers actress, synced up perfectly with Pope Francis, who pretty much every last Jesuit ritual is synced up with. And notice how Whatcom County has the same Gematria sacrifice in the same ciphers, 170 and 62. It's interesting that the new medical examiner, Allison Hunt, what a name too, right? Her name is the exact same as Whatcom County, Allison Hunt's sacrifice. They're the exact same in all ciphers. Notice Allison Hunt sacrifice, they're the same, 4662. Genesis 46 begins with a sacrifice. She was voted in as the new medical examiner on December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, which was 201 days after the Ignatian year began. And as we know, that's the big number with the Jesuits. That's also the big number with Pope Francis, the first Jesuit Pope. His birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, was 201. Again, first Jesuit Pope, first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican, which is known as the Domus Sancte Marte, which is another 201, just like Ignatius of Loyola is a 201. So, while I was waiting on the call back, which I still haven't had, I decided I'd figure out what information I could get online about the new medical examiner. And again, it's all here. It was bullet point 309 on December 7th that she was voted in with a 7-0 vote on the 7th. And again, all this information is right here. Is the Whatcom County website. Action taken on December 7th, 2021 meeting. Again, that was 201 days after the Ignatian year began on May 20th. The day Ignatius of Loyola was shot with a cannonball. R.I.P. to Billy Cannon, who died that day. Same day, Joe Burrow transferred to LSU, where Billy Cannon played, who went on to have the same career as Billy Cannon. And then this year, of course, Joe Burrow in the NFL played 4 teams in the playoffs, the only 4 teams that Billy Cannon was connected to. Funny, I was down at LSU at the start of 2020 to talk about Billy Cannon, Joe Burrow, and ritualistic murder. And again, just since then, up to now, a million more examples. But here, on that day, Allison Hunt confirmed as the medical examiner with a 7-0 vote. So, 34 years. Makes me wonder how many murders might have been covered up for. I really do think that the medical examiner position might attract some of the most corrupt people there ever was. I mean, because again, it's just like, who can you remember the Sandy Hook medical examiner laughing about the children's death as he was questioned? Laughing. It's like, oh, it's funny. Okay. And remember, he's now dead. He died by the numbers. Dr. H. Wayne Carver. You know, he carves up the bodies. Here we got the hunter, Allison Hunt. But let me see. Let me make sure I'm hitting all the points here. It's funny that her official title is just like Jesuit order. Trying to find if she has a Catholic affiliation. By the way, the church there in town that it seems to be synced up with, St. Joseph, 46 and 62, just like Allison Hunt, like sacrifice. And notice, I decided I'd look up St. Joseph's Day and go figure it was March 19th. 319 is a number associated with killing, as you know. Prince had the song 319 and died 319 days after his birthday. He also had the song I Would Die For You, spelled with the number 4 and the letter U, where he used the 21st letter, and he died on 4/21, the Queen's birthday. And they lit up Niagara Falls purple. And his girlfriend, Vanity, was from Niagara, and she died the day of the Grammys. She died the day of the 58th Grammys, and Purple Rain equals 58. She was his girlfriend back in the time of Purple Rain. And we predicted that day that Prince would die soon, and sure enough, he died on 4U Day. 4/21. But he also died 319 days after his birthday. Again, he had the song 319 and I Would Die For You, which he recorded in 83. But what's wild about St. Joseph's Day being on March 19th is this girl was found dead 44 days later. And again, we call that the kill number. K is the 11th letter. I is the 9th. 11 plus 9 is 20. L is the 12th. Plus 12 is 32. Plus 12 more is 44. So many suspicious deaths with 44. So St. Joseph's is the church in town. St. Joseph equals 136. Dead 136 days after the Pope's birthday. Dead 44 days after St. Joseph's Day. And just for the record, in case you forgot, in the 4 base ciphers, Earth and Devil are the exact same in all 4 ciphers. Earth and Devil, the exact same in all 4. And notice 83 and 29 are in the gematria of that. Like, Whatcom is 83 and 29. And then Whatcom doesn't have the connection to 52 or 25, but again, that's the day she died. 5-2 or 2-5. So, the mom did come out right away and say it was a suicide. That's where the first report was. The breaking news of her suicide came from the mother. But again, to me, that doesn't mean it was a suicide. There's a lot of really evil, messed up people in this world. You know, I mean, a part of me thinks that the kind of parent who would put their child in beauty pageants, I just think automatically, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think by default that probably makes you not a very good parent if you parade your child around in beauty pageants, making it about materialistic, kind of like pimping them out on a stage. So, just right there, I'd already be suspicious of that kind of parent. Like, I don't know. I mean, there could be exceptions to the rule. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but Again, and I also don't know what parent rushes out to TMZ to say that their child committed suicide. Just also seems kind of funny. I feel like most parents would want to doubt that their child committed suicide. They wouldn't be the breaking news that it was a suicide. How'd your daughter know how to tie a noose? You know? Where'd she learn that? How come everything's so perfect? And don't forget, you guys, 122nd Meridian, that's the number associated with satanic rituals. Satanic's got the 122. It's also got the 22, like what year we're in. It's also got the 67. Remember, toddlers and tiaras is 67. Hold on. What did I just see a second ago? Was it 1 month, 13 days? 1 month and 13 days after St. Joseph Day. Toddlers and tiaras, 113. And as we know, that's the number of deception. It's the number of dishonesty from the Talmud. So it is 6 weeks and 2 days as well after St. Joseph's Day. We just talked about the significance of the 6-2. St. Joseph, Whatcom County, Allison Hunt, sacrifice. I'm trying to find out officially what was her first day on the job, Allison Hunt. I know what day she was voted in, the day that was super significant to Jesuit rituals. Remember all the 201s we covered on December 7th? From Biden and Putin to what happened with Amazon to what happened with Nick Cannon, the death of his child announced. Again, synced up with the Jesuit New Year, which is the day Billy Cannon died and the day Ignatius of Loyola was shot with a cannonball. Just all these clear rituals. So, Blaine and Kailia, dead in Blaine, Washington. Not even sure I looked at what Blaine, Washington is. Blaine, Washington got that 74. Actually, it's got numbers like Roman Catholic. Is it Roman Catholicism? That's what it is, Roman Catholicism. It's the exact same in 3 out of 4 as Roman Catholicism. And notice the 97 as well in Roman Catholicism because that's the 25th prime number. So anyway, I'm debating on going up to this town because it's a really small town. On the Wikipedia page, it says population 11,000. It's right on the Canadian border. It's a 4-hour drive each way from me. If I could see the future and know I'd have some good interaction with the townspeople, it would be worth it. But if I'm just out in a town, I suppose if I'm going to do this, I think what I'll do is I'll go there on a Sunday and hang out by the Catholic Church. And hopefully it's not as dead as Oklahoma City. I was just in Oklahoma City on a Sunday, and there's churches everywhere, and it's the Bible Belt. And man, I didn't see anybody going to church. It was amazing. I mean, the town was just deader than dead. Like, okay, with all the churches in this town, I thought it'd be buzzing on Sunday. Guess everybody's doing the virtual church thing these days. But yeah, I mean, this is a lot of coincidences. This is a lot of coincidences here. And it's just sick to think, man. I mean, if it's a suicide, it's tragic, but I mean, and we already know this is going on. Killing of innocent people, people of all ages, young people. But again, this is why it just disappoints me that more people don't get behind this research, more people in the truth community don't help spread this work. I mean, it really is one of the most solid rock, not one of the most, it is. It's the most solid knowledge in the truth community. I mean, you have all these cultural references to it that most people aren't aware of, and then you just have evidence every day, from so many angles. The more you look, the more you find. And again, for all the bad decoders out there, again, there are a lot of terrible decoders who just use words and numbers and say, oh, that person also has that number, so they're definitely a part of it. Again, you pretty much don't have a decode unless you can also point to the numbers being used in the ritual and the date and the date durations. You need all those things, just like this example. All of those things line up perfectly. Coordinates also matter. 122nd day of the year, 122nd meridian, with a long, track record of that number being connected to satanic rituals, like the Satanic Church being established in the 122 city San Francisco on the 122nd meridian west. Not to mention that Pope Francis is named after St. Francis of Assisi, like San Francisco. And, who knows what that guy did in his time. St. Francis of Assisi. I'm sure a lot of these people who've gone down in Catholic history as saints are anything but. And just to revisit what we first talked about, the news did break on May 3rd. She died May 2nd, but it was a news story on May 3rd, and we've seen this so many times before where people will die the day before, but then the news breaks on the most perfect day. Kailia Posey, 123. She's the news story on the 123rd day of the year, one day after her death. From the day of the picture that TMZ stuck with it, her getting this check on April 25th, 2021. From that day to her death is 53 weeks and a day later. Again, 53 is the 16th prime number, dead at 16. Dead 136 days after the Pope's birthday, the 16th triangular number. Again, we talked about the name of the show and how it went with her being dead on the 122nd day of the year, the Satanic Connection. And again, May 2nd can be written 2/5. I should add Blaine here to the list, like we just talked about, because she was found. She's from Linden, Washington, but found dead in the park right next to it, also on the 122nd meridian, Blaine, Washington. And Blaine's 25. And again, just the suicide theme. She died on the 13th day of her age. She got famous on the Learning Channel, which equals 91, the 13th triangular number. Talk about that with Brit Griner, who's back in the news on the 13th in a minute. And just the Gematria of Linden, established in 1874. Linden has the Gematria 74, like killing, like London, which it sounds like. Remember Jack the Ripper, all his rituals by the numbers. That's covered in my Letters and Numbers book. Lucifer, Holiday, Parables, Gospel, Messiah, Cross, Jesus, Jewish, Masonic, Occult, Gematria, English. Again, Gematria, the killing name. 3 of the first 5 presidents dead on 7/4. Adams and Jefferson in 1826, and then 1826 days later, Monroe dead. Blaine, Washington, where the park is, also 74. Society of Jesus, a religion that tells its followers to eat the body of Christ and drink his blood on Sunday. And a religion that would have you believe the Creator would sacrifice people for the betterment of humanity. And you're told to believe that story, or else there will be punishment, eternal hellfire from a young age when you're impressionable and gullible and easily misled, especially by authorities. In a world where we are raised by the church and the state, which is controlled by the church, where you're told a false history that you got freedom and there's separation of church and state, which are just blatant lies. Also in the news, more weather warfare. A fire that rapidly spread, surprising all authorities by the speed with which it spread, burning up the town of Laguna Niguel. And again, for years I've been teaching about weather warfare and the encoding of 52. And notice in the most pure cipher, Laguna Niguel's 52. It is also 200. And everywhere I read about this story, there's this mention of these 200 acres. The coastal fire began Wednesday afternoon at about 2:45 p.m. in the Aliso and Wood Canyons Wilderness Park and quickly grew to about 200 acres. But again and again, just talking about the same thing. Vice News wrote their article about me back in 2017, making fun of my work on weather warfare in 52, even though it helped a lot of people win a ton of money that year because we said why the Astros would beat the Dodgers in the World Series and how the flooding in L.A. was through 52 and the burning in L.A. was through 52 and the flooding in Houston was through 52 as well. Matt Harvey, the first pitcher to pitch in Houston after Harvey flooded exactly 52 days before the start of the World Series. Again, weather warfare is a real thing. JFK talked about it. Except for JFK talked about it in a nice way. September 25th, 1961. People should go back and revisit that speech about how we didn't need to have drought anymore because of the new technology the military had. Interesting how all these droughts are happening. Why don't we use the technology from 1961? Because they don't want to. They want you to starve. They want your property to burn up. They want you to be in fear. They want you to be on your knees. They want you to have no choice but to accept the breadcrumbs the government will give you when they take everything away. Because that's where they're taking us. To a total slave state. Evil people that don't care about human beings, which should be obvious to everyone. And see, that's the lesson that humanity's getting right now. People haven't stood up for all the innocent people who've been destroyed by our government, other governments of the world. They haven't stood up for all the poor people who've been put in cages for their life, for things that nobody belongs in a cage for. Nobody stood up against all the illegal wars and lies and all the bombs that have been dropped on people's heads. And just like I knew when I was 18, back in 2001, eventually we'll be more and more the target than we already are. And a lot of people still haven't figured it out. They're still flying the red, white, and blue, thinking they got a sovereign nation, which they never have. It's all a false history. I don't doubt that there were people at the beginning of the nation who were standing up for the right things and, talking about why we needed freedom and separation of church and state. But the controllers were never going to let it happen. They'd give you the illusion that we had it. Again, free dumb. They didn't end the word with dumb for nothing. You got to be pretty dumb to think you're free in America. You've never been free in your life. Not for one day have you been free. Your parents have been required to put you in slave school. They've been required to go around their whole life with a trackable, traceable number by the government to make sure that they're minding all their P's and Q's and paying all their taxes and fines and fees. Everything's got a number on it. Your car, them. Everything. So they can track and trace you. If you're out of line, they're going to send you another fine and a fee, and if it gets too bad, they're going to put you in a cage. Anyway, Brit Griner back in the news. Again, we know this is another psyop. That's all that is in the news is psyops. And today's the 13th. Britney equals 41, which is the 13th prime number, like USA equals 41. And Griner equals 91, which is the 13th triangular number, just like Phoenix, who she plays for. And don't forget, the Soviet Union fell apart in 91. And then right before Gorbachev's 91st birthday, this whole thing started. Russia essentially goes to war with what used to be the Soviet Union, right? So, and then by the way, just to make no mistake about it, they told you that she'll be held at least until June 18th. And what's June 18th? That's the 169th day of the year. And what's 169? It has a square root of 13. So Britney 41, the 13th prime number. Griner 91, the 13th triangular number. Going to be held until at least the 169th day of the year, which has a square root of 13. And this is propaganda for the nation of 13 stripes, 13 colonies. 13 years of slave school programming. Your dollar bills with the 13 layers of bricks on them. The Scottish Rite HQ in D.C., with also the unfinished pyramid with the 13 layers of bricks. The Society of Jesus, Jesus and his 12 disciples, the sun in the sky and the zodiac, the 12 constellations. Well, not really 12 constellations, but the 12 zodiac signs that are dictated by the Son of God. The Catholic Church started out as the pagan sun cult, never changed. Just like Manly P. Hall says in the beginning of The Secret Teachings of All Ages, the pagan cult that runs the world of religion and government, they had to make a dumber version for the free dumb people of their beliefs, and they turned it into an actual man who you now drink his blood and eat his body on Sunday. On Sunday. Man, we got the best religion there ever was. Look at us. We got a mouthful of body and blood. Aren't we so smart? Freedom! Remember back when people still went to church? After 9/11, you drive past the church parking lot, all the dummies would have their yellow ribbons on their car. I'm sure Jesus would definitely support going along with the lies of 9/11 and dropping bombs on people's heads in the biblical lands. I'm sure Jesus would be totally down with the plan. Just keep your mouth full of his body there in church and think you're doing the right thing. And like people have been telling me since that time up to the present, why don't you move out of the country then? Why don't you move out of the country then? Oh, why? Because I'm the only one who stands up for what it's supposed to be about? Why don't we just start flying the Chinese Communist flag? And again, another true story. When I was in college down in Arizona, shout out to Professor Brad Forst. He's still at ASU. But again, we had a class of about 50 people. He asked us to write an essay on who would rule the world in 20 years. Would it be the USA or China? And I wrote an essay that obviously it would be China. They already rule the USA. And he said that I was the only person. Again, he told the whole class. Only one person in here wrote a correct essay. It's not going to be the USA. It is China. And again, it's because it's the New World Order, you guys. The Jesuits have been in China longer than they've been controlling the U.S. The Jesuits have been in China longer than the USA's existed. That's why they created the Military World Games, the Jesuits did, and that's why the same day the Military World Games began in Wuhan, China, the Jesuits put on the Coronavirus Pandemic Simulation Event 201. It's really not hard to figure out what's going on. You know, in Italy they call it risotto. Italy got a lot of their cuisine from the Chinese, thanks to the Jesuit missionaries. Anyway, also in the news, Elon Musk causing chaos at Twitter. 46 days from his birthday. Elon's 46. Chaos is 46. Again, Elon Musk is nothing but a Jesuit puppet. We got a million proofs that that's the case. His whole Twitter purchase is nothing but BS by the numbers. Elon Musk is another puppet, and that's all he is. He's been made famous. The TV says he's a billionaire. The TV says he's the face of all these companies that are clearly Jesuit enterprises. Again, the Jesuits entirely have a monopoly on big tech, government, media, and a lot of faces in big tech. Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos. Again, just follow the numbers, and you'll see that every day, everything they're supposedly doing is nothing but a numerical ritual that syncs up with the Catholic Church and the Jesuit commanders. So it doesn't get any more obvious when they declared Elon Musk the richest man in the world on the 78-year anniversary of the death of Tesla, when Tesla and Jesuit both equal 78. But yeah, again, it's news by the numbers. Elon Musk. And shout out to Neo the Hacker. I can tell Neo the Hacker is really hunting for those 68s, and he's found 2 gems this week. We really didn't need any more 68s to prove our point. Just show you something again in case you forgot. Catholicism equals 185.68. Mathematics equals 185.68. Remember, World Trade Center equals 185. Construction began in 68. Same year 911 was made the national emergency dialing code. Same year a million other things related to the ritual happened. But from bin Laden's birthday, March 10th, to 9/11 was 185 days later. And World Trade Center is also 94, like how it opened on the 94th day of 1973, April 4th. But terror's got the 68 and 94. The other day, Neo the Hacker caught that in the 9/11 Commission report, it's reported that the terrorists, they got through security checkpoints at the airport 68 times, all 19 hijackers. That's right, it was 68 times because there was 19 of them. And remember, the Quran code was supposedly discovered in 68, which says the Quran centered on the number 19. But then what Neo the Hacker just found is that Muhammad Atta, look at what day his passport was supposedly issued. Remember, this is the one that, and again, way before I knew Gematria, I just thought, how dumb are the people in this country? Are they seriously on TV telling us that they found all 19 terrorist passports? Because that's what they did report to us. They found all 19 terrorist passports in the wreckage at the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. They couldn't find any plane parts. They couldn't find anything, but somehow they found 19 paper passports. And this is just what makes me sick. I mean, who even needs Gematria to see that you're being lied to? Who even needs it? You got to be brain dead to not see through the obvious lies that are spoon-fed to us every day. Oh, wow, they found the passports. I'm sure. But look at what day it was issued. The 18th of May, 18/5. Oh, I wonder why. And from that day to 9/11 was 68 weeks later. Oh, I wonder why. Let's not forget Operation Pentagon Maskell, where a plane flew through the Pentagon on the day leaving 68 days left in the year. In the simulation, exactly 322 days before 9/11. The old Skull and Bones code, like George W. Bush graduated from Skull and Bones in 68. But again, I mean, this stuff is just. And by the way, May 18th is typically the 138th day of the year. Remember, the feds found all the passports. Federals got that 138, like Donald Trump. Donald Trump, 138. Remember, they put out, what's his name? Roger Ailes. Remember Showtime? I think it was Showtime put out the, how do you spell Ailes? Is that right? All right. Yeah. Roger Ailes, May 18th. But Showtime, they had Russell Crowe play the part of Roger Ailes, and they did a show on how, Trump never would have been the president without Roger Ailes, who created Fox News. But remember what day Roger Ailes died? He died May 18th, which was Trump's 119th day in office. And of course, Trump, he was called president-elect on November 9th, the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. Years after doing this commercial for Serta mattresses, where he's talking to sheep with 11 and 9 on their sides about counting sheep and how they'll never count sheep again, and he was wearing the same suit and tie he wore for selection night. But May 18th is the 138th day of the year, you see? May 18th, 138th day of the year. The man who got Trump elected to federal office, dead on the 138th day of the year. And remember, Trump was part of 9/11. Came out and said he was worried about his insurance company up on the 102nd floor, like how the attack was simulated by the feds with Operation Amalgam Virgo 102 days before the attack. Al-Qaeda 102, they say the attack lasted 102 minutes. It's amazing how many people think Trump, everything would be better if Trump was president, you guys. And again, the media gives narratives in a way that people can make it seem like it would be that way in their head, but then they forget that the reason we have inflation right now is because of Donald Trump, because all the money he had printed that he signed off on. Yeah, but the inflation happened once Biden got in office. Again, that's how they manipulate you. Again, anytime you print money, there's inflation, and there was never more money ever in the history of humanity printed than the bill that Trump signed off on, so that means you're going to see record inflation, which we're seeing. And if anyone's getting confused and think I'm some kind of Biden guy, far from it. I show how both parties are controlled by the same Jesuit cabal and how they play people for fools, like abortion equals 122, and they brought that back to you on the 122nd day of the year in an election year. Roe versus Wade on 1/22. But, and don't forget, Roger Ailes died at 77. We call that the DC number. On the 77th meridian, United States equals 77, going back to 9/11, Flight 77 hit the 77-foot tall Pentagon 77 minutes after taking off on the 77th meridian, where construction on the Pentagon began on September 11th. But yeah, it's just, all the people who think Trump is the hero. We have snapped some of them out of it. I mean, there's a lot of people in this community who used to be in QAnon. It's another 201 operation. There's a lot of people that used to be in QAnon and thought Trump was the hero, and now they know better. But there's a lot of people who don't want to snap out of it. They need a savior. Jesus isn't their savior in America. It's probably Donald Trump. Some people need something to hold on to. And really, the only savior is within all of us. That's the day things will change, when everybody wakes up and realizes they got the power to change the world. And it's amazing. I don't know if YouTube deletes all the good comments these days and just leaves the dumbest of the dumbest comments. I hate looking at my comments because there's hardly any comments anymore, and I know most of them are getting deleted, censored. But what's left is always just the dumbest thoughts I've ever heard in my life. Somebody left a comment the other day. Zach, you have to stop lying to people. People don't have power. Only governments have power. And it's think about what that person just said. First of all, people don't have power. That is bullshit. Second of all, only governments have power. What are governments? Oh, governments are made up of people. So maybe what they were trying to say is collections of people have power. Well, again, what I'm saying is when people rise up in big enough numbers, bigger numbers than what's being used to control us right now, that's when things will change. And again, I hear that everything I'm saying is falling on deaf ears because nobody seems to be doing anything. Can't pledge $1, can't share a video, can't hit the like. It's looking bad, you guys. One person doesn't have enough power to do what needs to be done. I've proven that for 9 years straight. But if more people got behind it, things would definitely change. So, And it is Friday the 13th. We'll see if things get cracking at nighttime like they did on November 13th, 2015 in Paris. But so far, relatively uneventful day in terms of news media. I know the market got off to a big boom this morning, but I think it chilled out quite a bit. Well, it's still up. It's had its best day in a while. And again, a lot of people think 13 is a bad number. In some cultures, it's unlucky, but in other cultures, it's lucky. And we've documented this before. The 13th and money, it seems to be a thing. Seems to often be a good day in the market, whether it's Friday the 13th or otherwise. And remember, on your dollar bill, there are 13 layers of bricks. So, market's having its best day in easily a month. And again, it comes on Friday the 13th, just to remind you how ritualistic it all is. How about this headline right here? More than 3,400 babies die from sudden infant death syndrome a year. Researchers now think they've found a biomarker for it. I got to see what's up with this. Again, just to remind people, the conversations we don't have in America. For 50 years, cancer research and donations have been a massive thing. There's been untold amounts of money raised for cancer research, and in those 50 years, what's happened with cancer? It's become worse. It's become more common in young people. It's become more unaffordable to fight cancer. However, there is the other side of the equation. For rich people, there is a whole lot of new treatments that are accessible if you're rich. There's, like Seattle has a bunch of cutting-edge cancer research, but it's only affordable to the super rich. And people are flying in all day, every day to Seattle. And I'm sure there's other cities. I just live up in Seattle, so I know about it there. But a lot of people, and when I was driving for Uber and Lyft, a lot of people that I picked up and took, was picking them up from the cancer building to take them back to the airport to go to the cancer building. But a lot of people fly in to Seattle because they have some of the best cancer research and procedures in the world. But most people cannot afford this stuff. It's not even an option. Your doctor's not even bringing it up to you unless, they know you got some clout. And again, why should these... Just imagine if we lived in a world, instead of where it wasted your time in 13 years of slave school. Again, teachers know who the bright, special children are at a young age. It's pretty obvious usually by the time you're in 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. And those were the years of school where I was super bored, and I used to have my teachers cry and apologize to me that they couldn't teach me anything else because they didn't know how to do algebra or whatever. I wanted to learn other things. I was just so bored at by the way, for me in 3rd grade, they put me in a special group, and then 4th grade, I skipped 4th grade, and they put me in 5th grade, but then they had me do 5th grade 2 years because I was already younger than everybody else. But I used to have my teachers apologizing to me back then for how boring school was and that they knew my time was being wasted. And again, it's not just me. There's a lot of children at that age who stand out. And there should be a tier. Like back then, I wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer. Those are my thoughts as an early child. I wanted to do something to help out people. I wanted to either be a lawyer and defend poor people who were put in cages who didn't belong there, or help people out who need good medical treatment. And, had I been able to go on a path at that age and put my, years where I was still young and ambitious, because that's the thing, by the time you get out of high school, it's like, man, you're already getting older, and then you got to go to college, and it's just like you're getting in debt. It's like, God, do I want to pay for all this extra college? This is not the way it should be. It should be that, the people who could be the doctors, the young, bright minds who'd be great for doctors and lawyers and these types of things, there should be a path at that age where you're still in the state school that's already being paid for by the state, which is super expensive, but get you on a tier where you're learning to do something you actually want to do that's not a waste of your time. And then that way, you're on this path at like age 10. By the time you're 18, 20 years old, you've already finished your education in this field. You're not super in debt. That means that you don't have to get paid $1 million to do your job to get out of the debt you just acquired. But you're on a path where you can just do the work because that's what you wanted to do, because you wanted to help out people, not because you got into it for the money. But see, that's the way it works out in our system. Pretty much everyone who goes into these fields comes from money and can afford to go to school, and then they're doing it for the money, which should be obvious because how many doctors are doing a good job or speaking out against agendas or doing anything other than pushing drugs? Almost none. Almost zero. Zip, zero, nada. Pretty much the accurate number to describe that case. And again, it doesn't have to be this way. It's set up because the whole world is structured around money and debt. And it shouldn't be that way. Again, we spend all this money on these students to raise them to be useful idiots, to know nothing about nothing, to hate learning. So when they get out of school and get their piece of paper, they just become a debt slave. A consumer debt slave. But anyway, let's read this article. SIDS, another one of these things that didn't used to exist, but just it emerged out of nowhere. Nobody has an answer. You can't even talk about things that are going on. I know those V schedules, those jab schedules, they've increased by a lot. My parents hardly got any jabs growing up. We got a good amount of jabs. Now the kids get way more jabs. Peanut allergies, SIDS, way more cancer, but it couldn't be the jab. It couldn't be the jab. There are other things to look at. There's more genetically modified chemicals and toxic shit in food. Our government even works to write food labeling that doesn't have to disclose those things. These laws have been passed by our politicians who are surely looking out for us. Let's make sure these food companies don't even have to disclose these certain preservatives they're putting in the food. So, again, the stuff they put in food is a definite possibility. More and more shit in the water, the air, more pollution. That's a possibility. But, man, those jab schedules are way up. Can't talk about it, though. Good way to be censored. But let's see what Australia came up with. Australian researchers say they've identified one potential biomarker for sudden infant death syndrome known as SIDS. But experts caution that it's just one piece of the puzzle. About 3,400 babies, again, that's a number associated with murder and death. I think we made that pretty clear earlier. About 3,400 babies die from SIDS in the U.S. each year. There is no immediate or obvious cause of death, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, a corporation that's in it for the money. Experts don't know which babies are at risk for SIDS or what causes it. By the way, the CDC was established by Mr. 201. Speaking of the Jesuits, for their study published on May 6th, 5-6, Society of Jesus, in the journal eBiomedicine, the researchers measured levels of an enzyme called, oh, good God, butyryl choline esterase. What in the world? My teacher's like, sound it out, Zach. Inesterase. Okay. We tried. These numbers are off the hook. For their study published May 6th in the journal eBiomedicine, the researchers measured levels of an enzyme called B, we'll just call it BCHE, in blood samples from 67 newborns. Come on, man. It's why when you learn gematria and just look at these numbers, it's just like, what in the hell, man? Just to remind people. Satanic is 67, Killer is 67, Murder's 34, the ABC Murders is 56, like Society of Jesus. What's SIDS anyway? SIDS has numbers like Rome. Sudden infant death syndrome. Wow. Huh. Well, here, I can't say it out loud, but pay very careful attention to the screen. Do you see the 111 and 132? They wouldn't like if I equated these things, but VACCINATION is 111, and VACCINE is 132. Oh, actually, what's wrong with me? That word's also 57 and 30 like SIDS is. Interesting. It couldn't be that, though. It couldn't be that. Couldn't possibly be that. Even though that's the one thing that's really changed with the young ones as time's gone on. Even though there's just way more of those, it could not be that. That's medical misinformation. Just ask the CDC or the World Health Organization, who are definitely looking out for us and not for the fat cats. What day was this published? May 6th. God. 67 newborns who died of SIDS and other unknown causes between 2016 and 2020. They compared these levels with those in the blood of 655 babies in a control group and found that the children... I'm surprised they didn't just go for 666 again. They compared these levels with those in the blood of 655 babies in a control group and found that the children who died of SIDS had significantly lower BCHE levels. I'm getting curious. What is this? I gotta look up what this is. First, the Gematria. Okay. I see some things there that are interesting, but let's find out what this is. Come on. BCHE. What is this? A serine hydrolase related to... God, these words. Can I get this in English? Widely distributed in the nervous system, pointing to its possible involvement in neural function. It is made in the liver, found mainly in blood plasma, and encoded by the BCHE gene. It's a synthetic compound that does not occur in the body naturally. It is used as a tool to distinguish between... So then how does it get in the body? It says it's made in the liver, but not naturally. Oh, never mind. It is made in the liver. The synthetic compound's not occurring naturally. I see. Maybe people who are deficient, that's what the synthetic compound's for. All right, let's come back to the article. SIDS usually happens when a child is sleeping. Experts have speculated that it's associated with problems in the part of an infant's brain that controls breathing and waking. BCHE is an enzyme of the... Sweet lady'd be better at pronouncing all these words. That's what she studies all this crap. Cholinergic. However you say it, system, part of the autonomic system which controls functions like blood pressure and breathing. The study authors say more research is needed to determine whether BCHE tests might be able to identify and prevent future SIDS cases. Smoking during pregnancy is one of the risk factors for SIDS, along with... But see, this doesn't make sense, you guys. This does not make... See, I hate this kind of stuff, because just right away I just call bullshit on this. It used to be common for parents to smoke. Just a lot of things are interesting, actually, when you think about it. It used to be very common for mothers to smoke while they were pregnant. And SIDS wasn't happening in the time that this was actually common. A lot less people smoke now, and it's in the time that a lot less people smoke that SIDS has become a thing. So you can't tell me that smoking is the reason for SIDS. It just doesn't make any sense. That's just an argument that you can defeat by just saying exactly what I just said. Smoking used to be way more common. Women used to smoke all the time while pregnant, and SIDS was not a thing. So how are they going to suggest, like, oh, that could be it? Nope. False. Doesn't make sense. And that's just what I hate about this world. It's just like these same agencies that'll put out some bullshit reason like that that's obviously not it. You know, but then they'll say, oh, it couldn't possibly be the one thing, even though it seems to be coded that it is. Smoking during pregnancy is one of the risk factors for SIDS, along with things like family history and premature death. The researchers noted that animal studies have shown a tie between secondhand smoke and lower BCHE. However, many other changes in the first 6 months of life are also likely to affect these enzymes and the nervous system in general. The researcher who led the study, Dr. Carmel Harrington, an honorary research fellow at the Children's Hospital at Westmead in Australia, lost her own child to SIDS 29 years ago, according to the Sydney Children's Hospitals Network. Dr. Carmel Harrington. Let's see if she's got a wiki. She's been working in the world of sleep for nearly 20 years. Former lawyer and educator and also a PhD. Hey, pretty impressive. Lawyer, educator, and PhD. She spent a lot of time in school. Well, the numbers sure are weird. I mean, I talk about those numbers in connection to death and murder all the time. Funny, we just talked about with the girl, right? She's from the show with the 67 Gematria, dead in a clear 34 ritual. All right, real quick. Anything else breaking? More on the Alabama hoax. Texas Supreme Court overturns injunction on investigating parents who provide their kids with gender-affirming care. Well, so far, pretty quiet day with the news stories. We'll see what happens tonight, though. The last time we had big headlines on a Friday the 13th, it happened at nighttime. So we will see. What's this about? Texas has declared open season on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube with censorship law. What do they mean? Texas residents can now sue Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube for allegedly censoring their content. Well, this is great. Maybe I'm going to end up moving to Texas. The 15-word ruling. I love that, though. They still got to do it by the numbers. Texas is the 15th state in the most pure cipher. The 15-word ruling out of Texas. Only took 15 words. Well, cheers to Texas, then. Cheers to Texas. So that happened Wednesday. So it happened May 11th. May 11th. I need a residence in Texas. I got a lot of lawsuits to do. I got a lot of censorship to sue for. So I really do feel like these people owe me a ton. I feel like my movement would be achieving all of its goals if it wasn't for all the censorship. I think it'd be way beyond what I imagined. Can we sue Etsy too? Because Etsy really impacted me financially. These people have had a huge impact on the reach of this work and the financial contributions. And that's why all of you guys who can't chip in a dollar are just straight up bums who might as well, you guys are on the wrong side of history. You can't come up with 3 cents a day for the most important research and hardest worker there ever was for this community. You guys are pathetic. Pathetic. So, again, all the content, all the stuff I do for free books, all the work, can't come up with 3 cents a day to help me overcome all the shit that works against me. You guys are bums. Loud and clear, you know. Mike Morales, who also exposes weather. Appreciate it. Real talk. Mike Morales. Let's check it out. Weather Command, that's got to be the man. He's up in Chicago. When I get to doing my round trip across the nation, I think I want to go to this south end of Chicago where all these shootings happen and see if we can interact with people in the community. Tell them about King Von. Tell them about murder by numbers, racism by the numbers. See what happens. Community that might need the lesson more than any other. But he's in Chicago. I would like to go to Chicago. Here, let me say thank you to the super chatters. Let me sign off before Sarah Sutherland gives another donation, too. I always feel bad. Sarah's always tossing a donation every time she hops on the live stream, and it's too much every time. But thank you, Real Talk. Appreciate the donation. Again, $2, man. If everybody in the community stepped up and threw $2, man, we would have funds. Sammy Torrey with $1.49. Boom. If everybody stepped up and pitched in $1.49, we would have funds. Real Talk, that wasn't even his first super chat. He did another one, $5. He said, you and Brandon O'Connell need to do a live stream together. You guys are the only truthers with real info. He has said we need to pound payment. You know, I actually appreciate what Brandon O'Connell does. I'm trying to remember the name of that, God. Hold on. I think I have his name. It'll pull up. I forget what the name of the Israeli technology thing is that he's big on. Hold on. I think the last time I covered this it's been a few years. Let me see if this pulls it up through his name. God. What's the name of it's like Talpiot Project or something like that. Talpiot. Is that right? Talpiot program. Is this right? Yeah. So his big thing, Brandon O'Connell's big thing is the Talpiot program, an elite Israeli Defense Forces training program for recruits who have demonstrated outstanding academic ability in the sciences and leadership potential. Graduates pursue double higher education while they serve in the Army. If I remember right, this Talpiot has the old 93 encoded in it. It's been a minute since I talked about this. Yeah, Talpiot. Again, 93 is coded everywhere in Israel's operations. It's the number of Saturn. Saturn's super important to the Jews. Saturn's the sixth planet. The Jews in the six-sided cube, the cube that represents Saturn. Yeah, I haven't heard his name for a minute, but the one thing is, the one thing about Brandon O'Connell, though, is he really does think Israel runs the world, and it's very obvious that it's nothing but, I mean, it's a big part of the Jesuit operation, but it's the Jesuits who run the world, not Israel. Israel's another big 201. And Talpiot program, Israel Defense Forces. Yeah, there's just so much with Israel in 93. So Israel was drawn up as a nation even on September 3rd, 93. But yeah, I've tried to get Brandon O'Connell to talk about Gematria before. I don't think he's actually interested in the topic, so it's too bad. But yeah, if he ever wanted to collaborate, I'd work with him. I mean, I'm not against what he does. He does do good research. So, hold on. More super chats came in. ALAMAO. I'm about a week or two into discovering all you do in Gematria from Spiritual Soul, mentioning it. Curious on your thoughts about what happens after death. Thanks for all your work. Well, first of all, thank you, and thank you to Spiritual Soul. And you donating $10 is more than anybody's. I mean, I've had people who followed me for like 9 years, and they still haven't donated $1. So thank you for being so generous. And, what I think happens after death is speculation, just like I would say anyone who would tell you what happens after death is speculation. But I do imagine that, that there's energy in us, and they say energy can never be destroyed. It transfers from one thing to the next. So, possibilities, reincarnation, I think that's a big possibility. An afterlife, something like the Christian belief, heaven, I mean, possible. But, I don't know. And pretty much my spiritual belief in this world is there is a creator. There has to be something that created something. The Big Bang doesn't make any sense to me. And again, I do think that the creator does communicate with us, not like actual voice in our head, but just signs, synchronicities, things that are just like, what are the odds of that? Right after I talked about that, or, I was thinking about doing that, and then that happened. Okay, I better not do that. I was doing that, and then this happened. I mean, so I think there is a creator, and I think what creator would want from us is to, live a life of purpose and doing something that makes life worth living and better for somebody else, being about more than just yourself. And I think the signs are in our, our DNA and our anatomy, When you do something that's really nice for somebody, you probably get a feeling inside you that probably feels better than most other feelings. Like, like honestly, whenever I feel the best is when I see that I made somebody's day. I did something nice for them. It happened over a week ago now, and it's still like the biggest, most pressing thought in my head. It was the look on the homeless man's face when he bit into the food, and it was just so delicious to him. And he tasted the cilantro right away, and he talked about how much he loves cilantro and how this made his day, and he hasn't tasted anything this good in a long time, And, I think that's what we were put here to do, help each other out and make the world a better place. And then there's other people who are put here and they think, their purpose, they're like tuning out what's right inside, and they're living in that like materialistic, physical, making their world all about materialism and physical pleasure. I mean, those are things, and those things do also give people, happiness and joy, but it's short term, and it's a different type of thing. It's like, you might feel good about it, but do you feel actually like good about yourself? Like, how often, for example, how often do you buy something that you really like, and it gives you like this sense of satisfaction, but then you also have this regret, like, oh, maybe it would have been better if I did this with my money, or was that greedy? Did I spend too much on that? So, anyway, I don't know what happens after we die, but again, I got ideas that to me make sense. Reincarnation is one. Sometimes I hope that like really shitty people come back as like a cockroach and they get stepped on 10 seconds after being born, and that keeps happening to them until maybe Creator says, okay, now that you've been squashed 10 times, I'm going to give you another chance to come back not as an asshole. But if you're bad again, you're going to be a cockroach 1,000 times over. I mean, I don't know. So somebody out there's like, well, what's so bad about cockroaches? But yeah, I appreciate the donation. And again, there are certain things in this world that it's like, that's where beliefs are, right? That's why beliefs become so important to people. People would rather speculate on, instead of what they can know and prove, what they can believe. But yeah, I got to assume that, if there is an afterlife, it's the reward or the punishment is determined by the amount of net good or negative you did for the world. And I think it would be measured just that way. Like, if you do something bad, you better offset that bad, and you better get back into the positive territory. So, but I don't know. Again, I don't know. It's just what I think. And then Real Talk had to come back with another one. Mike Morales is out of Missouri. He's on YouTube. So, wait a minute. Chicago native. So, okay. Maybe he's originally from Chicago, and now he's in Missouri. It's got to be the same guy. He went to University in Indiana. Unless somehow it's another Mike Morales in the weather. Mike Morales YouTube weather. Hashtag weather warfare. Let's see. Mike Morales. Is this our guy? This guy looks like he's more into space. I'll find Mike Morales, though. I'll find him. Mike Morales. Is this the same guy? Clinton, Missouri. This must be him. He said he was in Missouri. Oh! Hold on. I got to show you guys something. I'm not crazy about this person. I feel like this guy's actually a plant here to make us look all crazy, but he did do something good. Chris Emery, who we did the interview with, he sent me this clip yesterday. I don't know if he works with Jason Goodman. If you guys don't know who Jason Goodman is, you might recall about a year ago, maybe it was a year and a half ago, could have even been 2 years ago. Time flies. I've lost track of time. But Jason Goodman, he called into my TFR show right as it began. Or if it wasn't TFR, it was a live stream I was doing. I can't remember. But he called into a live stream, either way, right as it began. and he was going off about something, and I was like, do you want to be on the live stream? And he's like, what, are you recording me? And I was like, well, I just started a live stream and you called in. And he's like, oh, you didn't ask for my permission. I'm going to sue you. And I was like, okay, you called into my live stream like 5 minutes after I started it. But anyway, as crazy as this guy is, somehow he got Nina Jankowicz on the phone. And remember, Nina Jankowicz, 201, Jesuit educated, the new head of the government disinformation board. I got to play this. I got to play what he did capture yesterday. So, and by the way, for all the people out there like who sit there and just attack me and slice and dice my videos and try to make me look bad, like, what are you doing? Unless you are feds, then it would all make sense. But like, Jason Goodman is not a good person, and I'm not going to spend my time making videos about everything that's wrong with Jason Goodman, but I am going to bring him up today and compliment him because he did something that was good. See, I'm focused on things that are helpful to the community and helping us get free of tyranny. And again, all the people going after me, again, if you want to go after the hardest working person who brought the most important knowledge there ever was about actually what's going on this earth, I guess that makes you an enemy of truth and knowledge. So I got to assume that all my critics are part of that cabal. But anyway, let's give Jason Goodman his due here because this is good. Let me switch the audio setting real quick and let's play Jason Goodman's upload from yesterday. Here we go. What's going on here? Why is this silent? Is YouTube, maybe YouTube doesn't want people to hear this video.
Anything, maybe.
Oh, here we
go. Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. I don't know. Hello, Nina?
Yes.
It's Jason Goodman. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. I don't know. Has Brandy Zadrozny mentioned anything about me? Are you aware of who I am?
Your name is familiar, but I don't think Brandy's mentioned anything. Maybe Ben did. But tell me.
Well, I'm just the host of Crowdsource the Truth, and I'm very interested in what you're doing with the Disinformation Governance Board, and I wanted to see if you might be available for an interview.
I am unfortunately embargoed from speaking to anyone right now.
Really?
Much to my chagrin and displeasure.
Huh. And that's what, pending your confirmation? What's the status of the board?
No, there's no confirmation. I'm not a senior executive service member. I've been at the department since March, and there's no confirmation. I'm just embargoed because of the abuse and harassment I have been enduring since this was all announced and the lack of departmental strategy about how to communicate about it. So, yeah.
So is it a self-imposed embargo, or you've been told by the DHS not to?
The press shop, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when will the position officially begin? Like, when is this going to, and will it be like an office in Washington, D.C.? Has any of this been decided yet?
I started in March. So
you're working already?
Yeah. I'm an employee of the Department of Homeland Security.
And what happens if you determine that someone's put out disinformation? What does the Department of Homeland Security do?
That has nothing to do with my job. Who did you say you are again?
Jason Goodman.
And what publication are you with?
Crowdsource the Truth.
Okay. What are you calling me for right now?
Well, I wanted to invite you on an interview, as I said.
Right, but I told you I can't do an interview, so I don't know what we're talking about.
I'm just trying to determine what it is that this Department of, this Disinformation Governance
I would
Board
refer you to the fact sheet that was put out
that you've
2
already
weeks ago.
Been doing since March. I mean, I've looked at that, and it's not really clear. I think everybody has a lot of questions, and you're saying that you don't want to do an interview, and the department has.
No, I am not allowed to do an interview, and I'm going to get off the phone with you right now.
Well, I think.
So, I mean, the good news is he got her on the phone. He got her to acknowledge that she's actually had the position for even longer than it was announced, which to me brings up the next question. Is she the first person to have this position? How long has Department of Homeland Security actually had a government disinformation board? And my one question, though, is how did he even get her number? Keep in mind, Jason Goodman does have a Hollywood credits for IMDb. He works in cinematography. He's worked on big budget films. I believe he's a very wealthy guy in New York. But, the thing about Jason is he's done some good things. I mean, he had a viral video at the beginning of the pandemic from going up to hospitals and just showing how they were like deader than everything. He was going around all the hospitals in New York and showing how they just seemed dead. Nobody there. Nobody coming up to the doors, while the news was saying that hospitals were overwhelmed. They couldn't keep up with the patient rush. And he's saying, well, I'm going hospital to hospital and we don't see anything going on. These places are ghost towns. And the media is telling you that they can't keep up with the people funneling through the doors. So what's what? So, I mean, that was good work. But if you're not familiar with this man, I mean, he goes out and he acts crazy. He acts crazy. It's like, it's almost like he's playing a part to make conspiracy theorists, as they like to call us, even though a lot of us are conspiracy exposers, conspiracy researchers. I don't really think at this point my work is theory. I think it's pretty much proven about 1 million times over. But here, I'm just going to make a point. And by the way, Jason Goodman also gets play on InfoWars. Alex Jones puts on Jason Goodman. So, and that's how Chris Henry sent me his clip yesterday, because Alex Jones was playing his clip yesterday. But again, for all the people who attack me, again, you don't have anything. Like, watch this. This is for the people who try to make me look bad. Again, I want you to understand, Jason Goodman, who does do good things for the truth community, he also goes on and does this. All the people attacking me, you guys make it seem like I'm the one. I mean, Jason Goodman does this stuff like almost every day, you guys. I'm just going to play this clip real quick of Jason Goodman on the streets of New York screaming at a baby through a megaphone. Watch this.
I don't think so. I think he's an infiltrator that you need to be very careful of. So are you happy with Joe Biden? Don't touch me, man. Are you happy with Joe Biden?
Hey, snowflake.
Don't touch me, man. Are you happy with Joe Biden?
Hi, snowflake.
Hi, idiot.
Hi, snowflake.
So tell us, what's Joe Biden done that's any good? You're walking around with a baby starting fights. You seem pretty stupid.
You're following me.
I'm walking down the street. You used to call me a dick in front of your baby? Hey, baby, do you realize your father is an asshole? Don't fucking touch me.
Get away.
Don't touch me.
Get away.
You started it. None of you come near me. None of you come near me. You started it.
Anyway, I mean, this guy's doing stuff like this all the time on the streets of New York. By the way, somebody's trying to threaten me. Somebody says when I come to New York, I better tread lightly. Listen, if I can watch Jason Goodman do the stuff he's doing in New York, I know I'm not going to have any problem there. But, yeah, it's just, it's amazing to me how many trolls and haters I have and how many videos this is trying to attack me constantly. But, the Jason Goodmans of the world, they don't really have that many trolls and haters. They're actually the ones going out and acting like psychotics. But hold on, I see you guys are getting super generous all of a sudden. Let me say thank you to a few more people. And okay, Real Talk. Yeah, he confirmed that's the right guy. Thank you again, Real Talk. You didn't have to keep super chatting, but I do appreciate it. Very generous. Jared Bailey versus the World Inoculated has, okay, I see what you're saying. It's got that 666 mathematical connection. Again, for people who still haven't watched the Cladex simulation, which was done May 15th, 2018, 2 years to the day of Operation Warp Speed being declared, on the celebration of Mercury. May 15th is Mercury Day. And again, that's the one thing that a lot of people said, well, could this be the problem with the jabs, the mercury in them? But, and Mercury's the 201 element, event 201, synced up with Clade X. But in Clade X, in the simulation, they rush out jabs that do more harm than good. That was simulated 666 days before the pandemic was declared. Itachi decodes. is saying, check out Twitter. Thanks for the nice big donation, Itachi. You didn't have to do that either. Appreciate what you're doing. Itachi donates his time to the work all the time. Randall Claude Weaver got that 74-115 like Masonic and Killing. Randy Weaver dead today on May 11th. Okay, so dead at 74 on May 11th, and what did we just see? That his full name is 74 and 115? 74-115. Dead at 74 on 11/5. And again, we've identified these numbers with Killing so often. Masonic is 74 and 115, and so is Killing. And another word that's a lot like that is Lucifer. So, and again, there is the song Gematria, the Killing Name. And I was trying to place where that name's from. Yeah, that's Ruby Ridge. So, again, years ago I covered how Ruby Ridge was synced up with Waco. Of course, Waco's synced up with Oklahoma City. His death comes shortly after the anniversary. But yeah, I mean, look how perfect the ritual is. So it looks like they saved this news until yesterday. The news broke yesterday. Hold on. Ruby Ridge, August 21st. So the one thing about the date that started, August 21st, look at Holy Roman Empire. It's got the 74 and the 218 like the date. And it was in Idaho near Naples. Here, I forget my old work on Ruby Ridge. Here's my old book when I was trying to write it. Waco, OKC bombing, Columbine, 9/11. Ruby Ridge to Waco 33 weeks later when Timothy McVeigh bombed the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, April 19, 1995. He later said his actions were largely retaliation for what transpired in Waco on April 19, 1993, and at Ruby Ridge, August 31st, 92, events that came 33 weeks apart today. 33 weeks apart to the day. And of course, McVeigh and Koresh were killed at age 33. And as we know, federal, masonry, order, secrecy, false flag, they're all 33. Ruby Ridge equals 109. The Waco siege was on the 109th day of the year, like Oklahoma City. So isn't it interesting how all these things are just so perfect? Ruby Ridge in the most simple cipher, 109, April 19th, the 109th day of the year. The day it ended was a date with 33 numerology as well. Here, let's just see that again. August 31st, 92. And we know how 33 and 74 go together, right? Jesus, cross, Messiah, gospel, parables, all 74. Jesus on the cross at 33. Only the 33rd state equals 74. That's Oregon. But August 31st, 1992 to April 19th, 1993. Exactly 33 weeks. It's also 231 days. There is a 231 in the Oklahoma City building bombing. I forget what it is right now, but again, it happened on Ignatius of Loyola Day, and Ignatius of Loyola has that 231 in his name. 231 gates in Kabbalah. So when I wrote this, I understood a lot less about everything. I wrote this May 5th, 2016. So almost 6 years ago. Here, let's just see what else I wrote. If you're not familiar with Ruby Ridge, it is the story of a family, the Weaver family, who were Seventh-day Adventists, so Christianity, and were seeking to isolate themselves from the evil world they perceived around them. I gotta say, though, out of all the branches of Christianity, I like the Seventh-day Adventists. They take a day off. They don't work at all. They make it about their spirituality. They shut down their businesses. The Weavers believed the apocalypse was coming soon, the same event that it is foretold in the book of Revelation. Something to think about right there with that, since that's part of the story. And they were preparing as a family for this day they perceived soon ahead. As I said in the introduction, as I continue to say, the powers that be love to use Revelation in the coding of their riddles. Again, you guys, I never changed my message. My message has always been the same. From what I figured out, even though we've learned a lot more, it's been obvious that they use Revelation. Revelation is a book of prophecy, and the people who are waging these mainstream lies by the numbers are fulfilling their own man-made prophecy, which runs seemingly parallel to the Bible and book of Revelation. The date the standoff began at Ruby Ridge was August 21st. It would end 10 days later, August 31st, or a total span of 11 days. The standoff occurred because Randy Weaver, the head of the household, refused to submit himself to authorities for possession. Keep in mind he ends up dying on the 11th, right? Refused to submit himself to authorities for possession of illegal weapons. On April 18th, 92, Geraldo Rivera, filming for his TV news program, Now It Can Be Told, was rumored to have been shot at by Randy Weaver when their filming helicopter flew above his home for the purpose of documenting the confrontation with him and the government. And again, Geraldo Rivera is another major agent. You know what's funny? I just got to share this. Last night, for the first time, I watched the movie The Number 42. There's a lot to say about it. But you see how Jackie Robinson's 64 in the Most Pure Cipher? At 64 minutes into the film, he makes his Brooklyn Dodgers debut. And then right at the 58th minute of the film, where Freemasonry's 58 and Secret Society's 58, they zoom in on the architecture of a building. I was trying to figure out exactly what building it is, but they zoom in on the architecture of this building at the 58th minute, and it's two big pillars. I mean, it's so obvious that it's Masonic, Boaz and Joaquin. But... And you know what else is messed up about, now that I've seen the movie? It starts with the war. Wars 42 and the surrender of Japan 42. And again, Jackie Robinson was in the Black Panthers Tank Brigade. And then Chadwick Boseman, who plays him, died on Jackie Robinson Day, the makeshift day in the coronavirus season, which was also the author Jack Kirby's birthday, who wrote Black Panther. But it starts with the war. And... of course, he wears 9 in the beginning. And by the way, he starts out on the team, the Kansas City Monarchs with the Negro Leagues. And they show him wearing 9, which equals 42. And it just reminds me of Mahomes, like how every time Mahomes wins a playoff game, it's a 42 ritual. I didn't realize that Jackie Robinson played in Kansas City in the Negro Leagues, which is Missouri, which is another 42. Anyway, we got off topic there. It just popped into my head. Because I was looking at my little note here about how the book Now It Can Be Told equals 58 like Freemasonry. And don't forget on the backside of the memorial at Oklahoma City's the Masonic Lodge that was sold for $201,000. The story circulated rapidly in the mainstream, and authorities with seemingly mounting pressure drew up a plan to capture and arrest Randy Weaver at his home. In the end, it would be revealed the allegation of firing at a helicopter was unfounded, but it was too late by then. Oh, so they started with a lie. On May 18th, the 138th day of the year, Federal 138. I know we talked about that with the death of Roger Ailes. And the passport, the terrorist passport. It was the pilot of the helicopter who eventually confirmed it was a mistruth put out in the mainstream. The ordeal is known as the Riviera helicopter incident, which equals 136, just like Randy Weaver equals 136, which again is the 16th triangular number. Hey, what day did he die? He died May 11th. 5 plus 11 is 16. 136 is the 16th triangular number. I know we just talked about that with the death of the girl. The Gematria Connection reveals the truth of how contrived it all is. Following the 74, as in Weaver, Geraldo Rivera was born on July 4th. Now, consider I wrote this on July 4th, not July 4th. Consider I wrote this 6 years ago, right? I wrote this 6 years ago because I've always talked about 74. God, how much do I have to go down before I get to it? But again, I wrote this 6 years ago, right? And now he's dead at 74. And I've been harping on about 74 all these years. And, you know, where Randall Claude Weaver's 74 in the most pure cipher, Weaver is 74 in the most simple. And back when I wrote this, I wrote that in May 2016. I learned reverse gematria at the end of 2016, so I wouldn't have known the 115 connection. But I mean, again, that's why I just get so annoyed at people and all their false criticisms that are just so easily proven wrong. The reason we know reverse is legit is because of the way things lined up from the research I did prior where I didn't know about it. And by analyzing it with this cipher, we're like, man, look at how much more this comes together and the things that continue to happen. He's now dead at 74. Where did he go? Where did my story go? He's now dead at 74 on 11/5. Hold on, what else did I just see? Oh, it's a reshuffling. He's dead on his 129th day of his age, too. The 129 is 201 in base 8 counting. That this story ended up connecting to the federal building bombing. Another 129. All right, hold on. Geraldo. So Geraldo was born on 7/4 in 43, where Masonic is 74 and 43. What led up to the helicopter incident and the plan to capture him was all part of an ongoing battle between Randy and authorities, which supposedly stemmed back to 1986. When Randy had been identified as a possible threat to the government due to his relations with a man named Frank Kumick, who was connected to the Covenant Sword and Arm of the Lord. Again, these are the same Christians that were prepping for Doomsday in Arkansas that were raided by the government. Do you see how this comes full circle? After Randy refused to stand down to the charges against him, federal authorities surrounded his home on the night of August 21st. Here, let's go back and double check what August 21st is in terms of the numbers. It's the 233rd day of the year, which is the 51st prime number. And federal's 51, so is conspiracy, so is Rome. It's the day leaving 132 days left in the year, like Catholic Church, like Roman Catholic. And notice what day the news broke about his death. The news broke on May 12th, the 132nd day of the year. So the news ends up breaking about his death the day after his death on the 132nd day of the year, when originally the standoff began on the day leaving 132 days left in the year. That means May 12th, the day the news broke of his death, is the reflection date, because May 12th will leave 233 days left in the year. See how they do it? Been teaching the same damn thing over and over. It just lines up more and more as time goes on. And hold on. When we're done with this, I gotta play one more thing. I gotta play the clip that Chris Emery sent me yesterday. It's Alex Jones. I gotta play it. Hold on. I just gotta make sure I have the clip. I gotta have the clip. Give me 1 second here to email this to myself. I want you to hear Alex Jones. Okay, I put it on my Twitter. We'll get it in a minute. Here, after we finish, I got to show you Alex Jones. Alex Jones is the greatest actor there ever was. Anyway, after Randy refused to stand down to the charges against him, federal authority, that night the Weaver's dog was alerted by the men surrounding the residence in the woods and chased after them. The federal officials who were surrounding the Weaver's residence killed the dog. As a result, a firefight broke out by Randy Weaver, his sons, and his friend Kevin Harris with federal officials. In the firefight, Sammy Weaver, Randy's 14-year-old son, would be killed. We know what 14 is. Dead and end equal 14. As well as the ones the officers. Let us examine the names Sammy Weaver and Randy Weaver in light of Ruby Ridge. So they all have the Gematria connection to 55. Sammy Weaver also equals 46, like Sacrifice, who died, like Chaos, like Ordo Ab Chow. The dog's name was Striker, which also has the same Gematria. After the deaths of Stryker, Sammy, and the officer, it is said the firing stopped. No gunshots were heard after 11:15, which is when the hour hand is near the 11 and the minute hand is near the 3. In the quiet, the federal officials responded to their man who had been gunned down, Deputy Marshal Deegan, and the Weavers and Harris returned to their home carrying Sammy to the shed where they placed his dead body. I just thought about something else, though, with the date. So we talked about how it started on August 21st, right? We just talked about that. So it ended on August 31st. Now think about this. It ended on the 243rd day of the year, the day leaving 122 days remaining. Remember how these numbers reflect with Oklahoma City? Do you remember? The attack came 243 days after Bill Clinton's birthday and 122 days before Bill Clinton's upcoming birthday. And again, Bill Clinton does have that 122. McVeigh has that 122. Is it Keating? Keating's also got the 122, the governor at the time. And again, Central Intelligence Agency is 243 and 117. It happened 243 days after Clinton's birthday and exactly 117 weeks after he took office. And Ruby Ridge ended on the 243rd day of the year. And 122 goes with the Jesuit motto, "E Sus Omnem Salvator," and we know the CIA was established in a big Jesuit ritual. CIA numbers all over it. So you can see how these things really are just a straight line, and I have zero doubt that Ruby Ridge was a federal operation, psychological operations, just like Waco, just like Oklahoma City. And it's hard to say exactly what's going on with the David Koreshes and the Randy Weavers and the McVeighs. Are they actors? Are they agents? Are they under some kind of MK Ultra? I mean, there's a lot of things that could be going on. But again, for those questions, it is important to have all the facts and all the details and know every last angle of the story. But still, the point is, I'm building the case against the federal government, which is built so well, because again, that's what needs to be stopped. And there's other things that need to be stopped. The feds need to be stopped. The Catholic Church needs to be stopped. The Jesuits need to be stopped. But all these things need to be stopped. The cases are being built against them. The only way we're ever going to find out the answers to the other things that we don't know is when we have somebody on the inside who does know. And that could happen if we all raided, Georgetown and the CIA and the federal government and collected as many documents as were still left that they hadn't already burned up. And, it's probably there somewhere. Or it could also, who knows, maybe that's part of the thing too. They said that these investigations into what was going on in Arkansas and stuff, they said that documents were in that Oklahoma City federal building that blew up. They might have blown up the evidence for everything that they needed to cover up along with the whole operation. I mean, that's why these people are... So then the story goes on. The following day, the Weaver family was going out to the shed to pray for and bury their son Sammy. While the family approached the shed from the home, a federal sniper in the woods shot Randy in the back, and he also shot and killed Vicky, his wife. The date of this incident, and I mean, isn't this a story that's really meant to provoke you and mess with you? I mean, while they're burying the son that was killed by the feds, then the feds open up with sniper fire. And again, for the person who knows out there, well, why would the federal government build a story to make people hate them? Because again, they know what the dynamic is of people. They know most people are cowards and aren't going to do anything about it. They want people to rise up against the feds because they think that they don't have enough power and clout to do anything, and then they can put them in a database. I mean, this is the way they're operating. Everything's a litmus test. Everything's an operation, but see, it's because they've already done the homework and the calculations, and they think there will never be any resistance or uprising against them. That's what has to change. And I suppose that's also why they keep the active, nonstop programming and censorship going to ensure that can't happen. But still, that's where somehow we need to overcome it. The date of this incident was also August 22nd, or 822, a date that can be written 22/8, a number reminding very much of the Waco siege, which began on February 28th. And as we know, I don't know why I didn't write it there, but United States of America and for people who don't know, in the most simple cipher, United States of America is 228, and in Sumerian gematria, which is where you just multiply the alphabetic order times 6, death is 228. And again, the only American with a holiday named after him is Martin Luther King Jr. because of his death. Another 228. On August 30th, Kevin Harris would surrender. On August 31st, 33 weeks before the end of Waco, Randy Weaver would surrender. For another parallel between Ruby Ridge and Waco, the coordinates of the Weaver's home are on the 116th meridian west. Now remember, David Koresh equals 116. Timothy McVeigh was put to death on June 11th. The World Trade Centers blew up on the Pope's 116th day of his age. The word country is 116. Rituals for the nation. The Jesuit motto Ad Merum Dei Gloriam is 116. So I wrote, recall the number 116 was connected to the name gematria of David Koresh and the numerology of the siege date itself, 4/1993. And don't forget I was teaching about all this at the beginning of the year, and then on January 16th, a headline on 116 was that a hero from Oklahoma City died. Covered that at the beginning of the year. Yeah, the only thing I didn't have in there is how 9/11 blew up on the Pope's 116th day of his age. Well, then I get into Oklahoma City and 9/11. Talking about the 168 dead people in the explosion, the same times. Yeah. I didn't know reverse gematria, so I didn't know about Timothy McVeigh and 201 back then. Tim McVeigh, though, how he's also referred to as another 109. So yeah, I on my old website, I was trying to write a book for years, and all the rough drafts of that book I never finished. There's several chapters on. If you search for the right thing, the chapters of that book will pull up. But for people who don't understand, like my first book that I eventually put out, Letters and Numbers, I mean, I worked on that thing for a long time and write and rewrite. And right when I was feeling like I had a pretty good book, like what I was just showing you the drafts of from there, right when I was feeling like I had a pretty good book, then I learned reverse gematria, and then I realized, oh my God, I don't know anything about this, man. I got to get the reverse in here. I'm missing everything. So, and then I eventually finished Letters and Numbers. Took like another 2 years almost. And then I did bust out number games really fast. When I look back at how fast I got number games out, and it's good too, I go, man, I was on a mission. I have not been able to write in the same way I wrote for number games. And I mean, I wrote a lot for Letters and Numbers too. That book's nearly 800 pages. And I made them both free to download. Hate all you want, but who else is putting out all this knowledge and making it free? Oh, hold on. I gotta show you Alex Jones at the end of his show yesterday. I gotta show you this. So Chris Emery, who does have
Learn about iodine deficiency.
Hold on. How come I'm already hearing his voice? All right, I suppose we can watch it through here. Skip ad. All right, so Alex Jones.
Goodman, how are you?
He took the same clip from Jason Goodman, and then hold on. After the clip, we got to get in the Alex Jones reaction. I just want you again. Chris Emery, who I appreciate, who we had on TFR and who did a great job for us down in Oklahoma City, who made the film A Noble Lie about the destruction of the Oklahoma City building and the federal cover-up. He has been able to go on InfoWars, and he has a relationship with Alex Jones, and I asked if he could use that relationship to get us on there. Haven't heard back on that. But, yeah, Chris is under the impression that Alex Jones is a good guy and out for humanity, but I don't know. He peddles a lot of trash, a lot of fear porn, and he's gone against some big truths in recent years. He's clearly participated in some big psyops, but anyway, I just want you to hear Alex Jones, what he had to say. It's funny. I almost feel like Alex Jones is watching my stuff because I don't know if he's ever quite given a rant like this before. It kind of sounded like what I'm saying, but he said it. And when he says it, it's like, no. Sorry, buddy. Nope. You might be a lot more famous and have a lot bigger name, but you haven't brought anything into the truth community, even a fraction as valuable as what I've been teaching about for 9 straight years, which you refuse to cover. And what's made me sad is he's brought on all kinds of disinformation agents like Adam Green and But still, just no love for Gematria. But here, let's just listen to Alex Jones. It's about 2 minutes, but it needs to be heard. Here we go.
Everything is having a huge effect. The enemy spends all their time trying to block our communications, trying to control us, because if we communicate, they will fail. And look, I know you know that, but it's something that really needs to sink in. So please keep us on the air, spread the word, and get great products at InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. And again, I want to thank you all for your word of mouth, your prayer, your financial support. Please support our local AM and FM affiliates as well. Other than Trump, we are the most hated, most demonized, most lied about. We are like trophies that they want to capture. Like enemies of Rome wanted to capture the Roman standard or capture the flag. We are symbols of American resistance that they hate more than anybody, that they've been unable to imprison and destroy and kill by the grace of God and your support. So we are embattled gladiator champions. And I don't say that on a power trip. I mean, I'm in the frickin' arena here. This is life and death. And it is only your prayer and your financial support, your word of mouth that energizes me millisecond to millisecond to be able to do this. So that's when you call in and thank me. I'm like, hold your horses. I want to thank you. You're like a life raft. I'm in freezing Atlantic waters. I fall in the water, I'm dead in 30 seconds. It's sub-zero. I'm getting chills right now. You understand this? And then it's our children in the future. And I didn't just do all this to be famous or whatever. I did it because I hate these people and want to beat them. And let me tell you something. When I'm in these depositions with these Democrat George Soros lawyers, it's now confirmed Soros funds it all. That's going to be breaking big with all the documents soon. But it's too busy to get it all together and show you, but we learned it last week. They shake with hatred and look at me like they want to kill me. And then they say, I see you're raising money. Oh, we're going to investigate if you're spending all that on your defense. It's a former federal prosecutor going, just for days, just staring at you in 2 days of deposition, just hating you because you're an American, hating you because they sold out to evil and they know it, hating you because they want power over the people, and you know you're standing in these evil people's way. They are enraged that they have not shut us down. They are enraged Roger Stone isn't in prison or dead. They are enraged that we keep fighting. So there isn't anywhere you can fight harder than buying products at InfoWarsStore.com, supporting our local affiliates, and sharing the articles and videos and live feeds, and supporting our guests, because everybody we have on is fighting with everything they've got. This is a war against you and your family of inflation and collapse. And they know everybody's going to wake up in the midst of it. That's why they want to silence the leaders, because they think they can then defeat you. So when you keep us in the fight, you keep yourself in the fight, and this is life and death. So go to InfoWarsStore.com and get amazing products, and sign up for auto ship and continue to support. Make a donation at the top. And if you don't support us, you're helping the enemy. And I'm not bitching at listeners. I'm telling you, this is all-out war.
Okay, so that's Alex Jones, who, again, has become a lapdog for the political system, and he's talking about inflation. Well, that's because the guy you advocated for. Donald Trump is the reason for the inflation. Again, he printed a record amount of money. Anytime you print money, there's inflation. If you're going to print a record amount of money, there's going to be record inflation. He's also the guy who went along with the scandemic and a million other things. And, again, I mean, did you notice how Alex Jones used the phrase enemies of Rome to describe himself? So it's like, enemies of Rome, so. But he didn't say that he was an enemy of Rome. He used it like he was the Roman. And then he talked about being gladiators, Roman. And what day is Alex Jones's birthday? The same day the Vatican's birthday is, February 11th, the 42nd day of the year. Like Jesuit and Freemason and Austin are all 42. And, yeah, Alex Jones, who's now saying that, he's the reason he questioned Sandy Hook was because, how did he describe it? Like he had a mental lapse? Oh, that's why he questioned it. Oh, okay. When it's a clear Jesuit Catholic operation. So, again, I mean, it's a joke for Alex Jones that he's saying what he's saying, that he's fighting for no, he's fighting against humanity. He's fighting with the cabal. He is the cabal's agent. It's obvious as everything. And again, Bill Cooper called him out from day one. Bill Cooper said he was a liar and a fraud. So, I'm not going to hold that against Chris Emery. Chris Emery is appreciative of him because he gave Chris Emery an audience. And, again, Alex Jones does put out some truths, and he covers conspiracy. But why won't he cover the most hard-hitting information there ever was in the world of conspiracy, which proves itself every day? I mean, Again, where's the criticism of the work when I'm writing about the significance of 74 in the ritual of Ruby Ridge 6 years ago? Not to mention, for 9 years, I'm talking about 74 and it being a hallmark of this club. But then, not only is he dead at 74, he's dead on 11/5, and that's exactly how his name checks out in Gematria. And his surname's got the 74. Again, there's not, you know, why doesn't Alex Jones want to go over the song Gematria, the killing name, and murder by numbers, and the patterns throughout history, and what continues to go on, and how the feds operate this way? From old Sandy, pirate hand to, you know, everything else. So, because he's not trying to fight as hard as he can against the evil cabal. He's part of the evil cabal. He's look at what he was selling there. Immunity products in the pandemic. Oh, I wonder. Oh, so you're capitalizing on the old pandemic. I see. All right, but great heads up, Itachi. I didn't hear anything about Randy Weaver before you posted that. Thank you. KT Cleans a Lot. Thank you again. KT Cleans a Lot. Very generous person. Real Talk with another $2. Thank you, Real Talk, again. Love, Wisdom, Freedom with $2. What are your thoughts on Naomi Judd? Well, I do believe I talked about her death yesterday, and I do have a video on her death. And I probably talked about her death in one other video, so I've done at least 3 videos. But again, just quick recap. She died on the 56th birthday of the Church of Satan. And Church of Satan equals 56, like Society of Jesus. It was no doubt created by the same Jesuits. And she died right after the 56th Country Music Awards. And then the Jesuits created the Illuminati the day after her death. She was installed in the Country Music Hall of Fame on the anniversary of the Illuminati establishment. And again, the word light equals 56. The Illuminati means in the light on 5/6. Marvel put out their comic movie, Doctor Strange, where the Illuminati is part of the film. So, yeah, yesterday I was just talking about why Naomi Judd did her interview with Good Morning America on Wednesday. I know it went on TV on yesterday, but on Wednesday was the day she conducted the interview, the 131st day of the year where gun controls went in 31, and then the detail came out that she shot herself. And that was just a few days after the CDC was making the argument about, because of guns, a lot more people commit suicide. So, Jack Armad Ilbeck with the $5 and the emoji. Appreciate it, Jack. Thank you very much. Looks like Jack's got the They Live avatar. I appreciate that. Carl Streener in the UK with the 10 British pounds. Thank you very much. He says, hey, Zachary, can I have a signed copy of your new book, please, once finished? It's a great read. Absolutely. When I am done, you've already made your donation. There is some shipping to the UK, but I've seen you donate plenty of times, so I got a free copy of the book for you. And again, when I am done with the book, we're going to have copies of those books, and we're going to be handing them out in New York on 9/11. But for all you guys who've been generous donors, be sure to send me an email. I'll set up an email for the book specifically when the time comes. But just say, hey, Zach, you know, I send you all those super chats. Like, I'm Sarah Sutherland. How many books do you want? I got a whole bunch of free books for you. But yeah, absolutely, Carl. Thank you for the donation. And Matthew Bentley with another $1. I appreciate it. Matthew Bentley's donated a lot of dollars. They add up. Thank you. Aaron Haywood with another donation, $3. I also appreciate it. Thank you. And it's getting close to 1:30 here. I went longer than I anticipated. But thank you again to everyone who tuned in, who hit the like, who hit the share. Thank you to the super chatters. And again, I really would like to see that number go up on Patreon. I was hoping it was going to happen. But so far, very, very low response. Very, very low response. And that said, if the donations don't come in and the funding doesn't come, it has to happen anyway. So I'll be working on getting Sweet Lady on board, even if the support's not there. She'd give the full endorsement if the support came through. She thinks I do too much. But there are a lot of people that that inspire me to go out and do more. And even if I didn't have those people, I'd still be going out and doing it, because what else is there to do at this day and age besides fight against the evil that's ruining the world? I mean, who wants to live in this world whose eyes are open? So, yes, Emilio says infant formula does equal 201, which is all the rage right now. That is true. Infant formula does equal 201. They're talking about abortion and infinite formula. So, probably not an accident. More stress for mothers. They don't want people procreating. They want less people. Go back and listen to Bill Gates in 2010. It's TED Talk, that year with the 201 right in it. Go back and watch the show Between, where the government unleashes a virus on a town for population experimentation, in the medical building's 201, where all the records are. So, anyhow, we'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. Might be quiet this weekend. I imagine I'll be back on tonight. I imagine they got something planned yet for Friday the 13th, but thank you to Shannon, who sent $5 on Cash App as well. I appreciate that. Thank you, Shannon. But yeah, I might be doing a little surprise trip this weekend, so I might not be as active this weekend as I normally am. But yeah, if there's anything else big that happens on this Friday the 13th, I absolutely will be on. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat real quick. I can't get the chat to load. Hold on. ALAMO, thank you again for your donation. I do have that evil online bookstore sells my book. If you just search, watch this. If you search my name on a web search, most will use that evil engine Google, Zachary K. Hubbard. This is my physical book that's out there. Number Games. Target sells it. Amazon sells it. I think Amazon has the lowest price on it right now. Oh, we got some new reviews. Remember when they took away 50 reviews and then they kept dropping it for like a month straight? The latest review from Daniel. People are terrified of the truth. I'm amazed at how much things add up with each other and the knowledge you're able to gain by reading this. The information that Zach presents just can't be refuted nor fact-checked. Well, it can be fact-checked. I think he means it can't be debunked. This book is an impeccable piece of work that everyone should read. Well, I appreciate that. Again, if you read and you see the bad reviews on here, all the bad reviews on my book are lies. Like there's a book that says I only go after Trump and not Biden. Completely false. There's nothing partisan about my book. But I'm sure it was some Trump person who didn't want to read anything bad about Trump. But anyway, there's a bunch of websites that sell it. Bookshop.org. So if you don't want to support the evil empire Amazon, there's plenty of places to buy it. The other thing you can do is this. That green book, Letters and Numbers, no one will print that book, but there's a way you can print it. So if you type in Zachary K. Hubbard Subscribe Star in a web search, it'll pull up Google's hiding the page. But I do have it linked right here on my own website. So the Gematria Effect News will pull up, and then you'll have the link to Subscribe Star. So if you go there, there's only one page on this page, but you can download both books for free in ebook format. Letters and Numbers is the green book that you can't get in print format. It would be cheaper to just buy Number Games from one of the retailers than to download it and have it printed as an ebook at lulu.com, because it'll cost you like $30 that way. But if you want this green book printed, again, you have to make up your own cover for it, but if you send it to lulu.com, they'll print it like this. And for a soft cover version, they print it for about 30 to 35 bucks. Oops, I just wrote with pen all over my shorts. But 30 to 35 bucks, they'll print out the book. And realize it's 800 pages, so it's a big book. And really, Letters and Numbers has more information for people who are really trying to learn about the subject and why. But Number Games, either book a beginner can pick up and learn the code, how it works, why, where it comes from, how it's used. And yeah, so I wrote both books for beginners. And Number Games starts with an introductory chapter that really gets you familiar with the number 74. And why did I start with 74? Because if you learn that number or 47, you'll just see how it comes up again and again and again and again. Just like Randy Weaver. So again, web search my name, Zachary K. Hubbard, you'll find my books. You know. And, or just look in the description of the video. It's also there. Or go to my website, GematriaEffect.news, and it's the top pinned post always. So, again, you can buy the ebook versions. If you just want the ebook versions, you can also buy them. They're $4.99. Or you can download it for free. Also linked in the description. You get the exact same thing in the free version. It's not any different. Made it free because some people don't want to spend any money, but the knowledge needs to get out there. And again, these are all different links that sell the book. And if you're international, I linked the international sellers because that's where you get your best rate if you're shopping internationally. And pretty soon I'll have again, I've decided that I'm just gonna focus on writing short books from now on that just focus on one number at a time, so nobody can get lost. There's just one number to follow in long historical patterns. And eventually I'll probably like make a consolidated version with all those little short books into one. So okie dokie. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. And again, I appreciate the donations. And I think I got all the super chats. So yeah, we'll leave it there. I'll keep you up to date. I did send a request to the Linden Medical Examiner for the Kailia Posey death report and also the police department. So I'm hoping they send me some information. And I am debating on driving up there to do some on-the-ground pavement pounding, seeing if we can talk to some people in the town, some people who might have known something. You know, you just never know. Maybe somebody will come up and say, you know, I saw her the day before and she seemed happier than ever. I mean, you just don't know. I'm really shocked that she'd committed suicide. I mean, those are the kind of things we need to figure out, so. All right. All right, that's all for now, True Seeker. I got to eat some food. It's, again, you guys, intermittent fasting, it's great for your health, and it's a great way to lose weight. I don't really need to lose weight. I actually need to gain weight, but intermittent fasting, eating an 8-hour window each day, you will be healthier for it. And I have gone way past, I'm going to be eating in like a 4-hour window today, but anyway, we'll leave it there for now. It's time to eat some food. Have a good one, True Seeker.